Hello, it's Linda again. I'm going to show you a recipe today, which is not a recipe that I do very often, but it's my signature recipe in the family. And whenever we have a family get together, everybody says, you've got to make them, you've got to make them. So they're not actually your normal everyday meal, because they do take a little bit of preparation, but for a special occasion or now and again, or for a change when you just feel like something different, they're really nice. So you're wondering, what is it? Well, it's actually Scotch eggs. And I know you can buy them, but the homemade ones are so much nicer. And when I have made them, people say to me, how do you make them? As if it's so complicated, but actually it's so easy. If you've just got a little bit of time and patience, yeah, they're just so easy to make. So I just want to show you how to do it today. Right, so what I would do is I would boil some eggs in a saucepan, and I would boil them from the water being cold. I have this little gadget which has got a little spike in it, which I put on the bottom of the egg. I don't know whether it lets the air out, but what it does, it prevents the egg from cracking while it's cooking and the inside spilling out into the water. If I'm making them for a family event, I would probably make 8, because I use Richmond sausages. I find them that they're best. I've tried to use different sausages, coarser sausages, and it doesn't work. So it needs to be a smooth sausage, and I use the thick Richmond sausages, and they come in packs of 8. So for a family event, I'd make 8. If I'm just making them for myself or for one family member, I'd make 4, and then I would freeze the other 4 sausages and use them at a later date. And so I would boil the eggs from cold water for about 6 minutes. And then when 6 minutes is over, I take off the boiling water and I let cold water run on them until the water's cold, and I just would let them stand in the water while I'm preparing my other ingredients. And so in 2 dessert dishes, I'd put 4 heaped teaspoons of flour. I use plain flour, but I'm sure you could use self-raising, and I'd mix it with milk. I want to mix it just a bit thicker than a batter, because you want it to coat the sausage on the egg. So as you can see, it's just a bit thicker than a batter, because you want it to be thick enough for the breadcrumbs to stick onto it. So in another bowl then I would put my breadcrumbs, and these I buy from any supermarket. They're just ordinary golden breadcrumbs, and I've always got a supply of those in my cupboard if I want to make some Scotch eggs. Anyway, I'd get my sausage and I'd get my kitchen scissors, and I would cut down the skins, and I would remove the skin from the sausage. And then on a floured board, I would bend the sausage meat in half, and make sure your hands are floured, and then I would just pat it down, and you may need some more flour, so keep your flour handy. Just pat it down, and you want it to be in like an oval shape. So you just knead it until it's into the shape. And then I get my egg, and once I've boiled them, I run them under cold water to make sure there's no shell on them. And then I get a piece of kitchen paper, and I just make sure that they're dry. And then what I would do is I put the egg on and I measure it. And as you can see, that's not quite long enough. And so then I would pat it a bit more, just see where I need to make it a bit bigger. And as you can see now it meets. It meets in the middle, and it meets on the ends. So then with the ends of my fingertips, I would just bring the sausage meat together. And I just would knead it just to join it together, and then just in a circular motion in my hands, just bring the sausage meat together. If there's any area where the sausage meat isn't quite coming together, again, you just use your fingertips just to bring it together. Okay, that's fine. Right. And then I would get my flour in milk and my breadcrumbs. And now I would use one hand to coat the egg in the batter mixture, and I would use the other hand to coat it in the breadcrumbs. So I put it in, and then I just sort of try not to touch the batter as much as you can. So just don't put your hands right in, but just sort of ease it with your fingertips through. And then after it's coated, I just get any excess off, the drips off, and then I put it into my breadcrumbs. Then I don't touch the breadcrumbs with this hand. I just get the other hand, and I try not to touch the batter as much as possible and try to move around. And then when I have got a hold where the breadcrumbs are, I just move the Scotch egg around until it's pretty much coated. And then I just use a circular motion just to make sure that the breadcrumbs are well stuck. Okay. And then when I've done that, depending on how many I'm making, I just put them to one side. I would obviously need to wash my hands then, but but I'm not going to now because I don't want to leave you on the video. But always have a dishcloth or some kitchen roll, wet kitchen roll to hand, so that you can wipe your hands. But I would normally, when I finish making them all, I would normally wash my hands. Okay, now these are some that I cooked earlier. Flour out the way. Okay, what I have here, and right, cooking them. Yes, let me tell you how to cook them. Okay, so I cook mine in a deep fat fryer. I think it's safer because it's thermostatically controlled, so it won't overheat. And I cook three at a time, and I have it on the highest temperature. So for my fat fryer, that would be 190 centigrade. And once my light's gone off and the oil is hot enough, I drop them in my basket and I cook them for 4 minutes. After 2 minutes, I get my kitchen spoon with the little serrated holes in it, and I turn them. And I cook them for a further 2 minutes. Then I turn the temperature down to 180, and then I cook them for another 4 minutes. Again, after 2 minutes, I turn them again, and then I lift the basket out, and then I would get them and I would put them on a plate with my spoon. This. Yeah. And I would just get another piece of kitchen roll, and I would just make sure, let me show you, that there's no excess fat on them. And there they are, cooked. Cook them in batches of 3. And so if you're cooking more than 3, just remember to turn the temperature up again to 190 at highest to cook them for the first 4 minutes, and then turn them down again. So there we are, you have beautiful Scotch eggs. I shall cut one now to show you. There we go, beautiful homemade Scotch egg. And I'd have that with salad, potato salad, coleslaw. You can have it with new potatoes. You can actually have it with chips and beans. Yeah, so they're delicious. As I say, I don't make them often. Family events, or if I just want to say to somebody, I'm thinking of you, care about you, somebody that maybe needs cheering up, I'll make them some Scotch eggs with love. Okay, I hope that was helpful. Anyway, bye for now.